5 controversial money tips that allowed me to stack over $75,000 in my savings account as an agency owner, and I've only been in business for about a year and a half. Put that in perspective, most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck regardless of how much money they make. They're bogged down with credit card debt, they never feel like they're making enough, and they're in states that are ridiculously expensive. For those that don't know me, my name is Gary Frater. I've previously managed content for some of the biggest creators on the planet: Mike Tyson, Brendan Schaub, Steven Crowder, Mark Sanchez, and a ton of other celebrities. And now I'm building my agency in my coaching business, and I'm basically taking you guys along for the ride and teaching you everything I learned along the way. As a young entrepreneur who manages over 15 employees and is working with some of the biggest brands on the planet, one of the most important things that you can do for yourself as an agency owner, coach, consultant, business owner is have a nest egg of money saved up. This is going to allow you, A, to have peace of mind. It's also going to allow you to invest, obviously, and most importantly, it's going to allow you to negotiate much better deals for yourself. The thing that keeps people stuck in shitty deals and just places that they don't want to be is the fact that they actually don't have any leverage. Money and capital gives you leverage. So let's break down the 5 controversial things, starting with number 1. The state that you decide to plant your roots in and live in is by far one of the biggest decisions you will ever make in your life, aside from who you marry. I've lived on the East Coast, I lived on the West Coast, particularly when I was managing social media for Mike Tyson, and I can tell you that by far the best financial decision I've ever made was leaving California and moving to the state of Texas. The fact is that when I moved to Texas, I actually was able to make more money, I was able to keep more money, the cost of living here is much lower, and I could buy a house for less than $500,000, which is a beautiful house. Gas, groceries, just daily life and daily expenses were significantly cheaper. Yes, I'm not in New York, and yes, I'm not in California, yes, I'm not in Miami, and I don't want to be in any of those places. I wanted to be in a place that as a young man, I can really lock down and focus, save as much money and invest as much money as possible, and live in a place that actually makes sense for me. After living in the state of Texas, I could not imagine paying state income tax. So like living in Connecticut where I'm from, spending money on a $1 million home and living in a shoebox, and then on top of that having to pay that state income tax. Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. The most amount of money that you can keep is what you should be prioritizing, as well as the quality of life that you ultimately want. And don't forget, you can travel to all of these states and do business and network with all these people, but to have your roots and have it planted in a state that actually makes a lot of sense for you financially is a really, really smart move. There's plenty of states that people from the coast think are a shithole, like Arkansas, South Carolina, Florida even, Nashville, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas. Those states make a lot of financial sense to live in because the cost of living is much lower, therefore your dollar goes a lot further and you can buy that dream home that you want. And you can have your office that you want inside of your home instead of paying, I don't know, $5,000 or $6,000 for a studio apartment in New York City. Like that does not make any sense to me. So really think about, where is it that I want to raise my kids? Where is it that I want to actually live? And can I actually make the jump? If you have a job that's locking you down, well, then this doesn't make any sense for you. But if you're a coach, consultant, entrepreneur who can work remotely, right? You own an agency, for example, do that instead of living in your hometown in, I don't know, New York or LA or San Francisco just because you grew up there. That doesn't make any financial sense. Number 2, wealth is built on ownership and risk. And if you don't have risk or ownership, well, then say goodbye to financial freedom. And if you're an entrepreneur that's watching this right now, congratulations. You made a massive jump and a massive leap of faith that most people, 99% of the population, would never make. Here's my story. I left Texas with my brother and I had just met my girlfriend, the woman that I love more than anything, the woman of my dreams. And I had just told her, hey, babe, I need to move to someplace where I can actually build something for myself. I need one opportunity in order to actually take a leap of faith, actually make a jump so that I can build something for myself. I had just quit at that time, or I was about to be quitting, a very, very lucrative position with somebody that I really, really respected, and I had a great job. But I knew that I wanted to build something for myself. I did not want to work for anybody else, and that wasn't the life that I wanted for myself. So my brother and I, we packed our bags, and we actually have a European passport and an American passport, right? So we're dual citizens of Europe and in the United States. And so what we did was we packed our bags and moved to the island of Cyprus. Island of Cyprus is like a very, very tiny island. It's in the Middle East / Europe. It's right by Syria, but it's kind of connected to Greece. It's basically split in half with Turkey and Greece. So it's kind of a unique place. Anyway, so my brother and I, we basically packed our bags, dropped everything we had behind, and we saved up for an entire year to actually be able to make this jump. And we saved up about $50,000. And and we made this jump, and we're living on a military base in Cyprus, and we were building out our social media agency. I at first moved there to actually put out male self-improvement videos. I was very, very passionate about helping the next generation of men level up their life. And then before you know it, I started to build out my content agency because people started to reach out to me from my prior experience working with Mike Tyson. And so my brother would work during the day, and then at night he would come home and we would work together on Freighter Media, our content agency. And before you know it, we scaled Freighter Media from 0 to multiple 6 figures on a military base. Now, I'm not saying that you need to take this drastic jump or this crazy leap, but there's going to come a point in your life where you're either going to be during your full-time job and building something on the side, or you actually take the leap of faith and, you know, just burn the boats, Hernan Cortez. That's exactly what we did. We knew that we needed a burn the boats moment. We're kind of extreme people. And so we said, you know what? We need to put our backs against the wall, and it's either sink or swim. And for us, you know, thankfully, luckily, with a lot of hard work, we succeeded, and we were definitely swimming. And if you're watching this right now and you're like, dude, I'm already an entrepreneur, I'm already a coach, I'm already scaling my agency, great, you are on the right path. Without ownership and without risk, you are going to have nothing, because the person that is working that 9-to-5 job and doesn't have any risk of getting fired, or maybe they're just, you know, they're just comfortably, they press a button during the day and that's about it, and nobody really bothers them. That person is not taking on any risk, okay? And because they're not taking any risk of like, hey, maybe this doesn't work out for me, maybe my business completely collapses, that risk allows you to actually scale and allows you to make more money, because the more risk you have, the more upside you also have. So it's a double-edged sword. However, it is what it is. It's the real world. It's capitalism. So whatever you're doing, make sure that you're ultimately building something for yourself. Number 3, make sure you're not spending more than 1/3 of your money monthly on rent or a mortgage. When I lived in Los Angeles and was managing social media for Mike Tyson, I was not making a lot of money. I was making about $45,000 after taxes. My rent, though, was about $1,350, and it kept going up, which was also one of the reasons why I left Los Angeles, because I was like, I'm not making any money here, and my expenses and my rent were so high. But the thing is, I really had no choice. I was literally living in a room, so I wasn't even like renting a studio or a 1-bedroom. But the point that I'm trying to make is what I learned from that was, okay, never spend more than 1/3 of your money on rent, because there's so many people that are buying $1 million homes, $500,000 homes, and then they're struggling to be able to afford it. And then you're ultimately tied down to that house and you're trying to keep up with those payments. And ultimately, I mean, that's not really a life that you want to live, right? Financial freedom, peace of mind comes when you're able to afford things comfortably. When you're making, let's say, 20 grand a month, right? And your expenses are 12 or 13, right? Or 14. That allows you to put away some money for investments or, you know, things that you're actually passionate about, right? Like different activities that you can do, but also to set yourself up for financial freedom. That is ultimately what's most important, not being house poor and just, you know, buying the house that you can barely afford with your credit and then being like, all right, well, now we're going to be stuck here forever trying to pay off this mortgage, and it's going to take you forever. So that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned living in Los Angeles and paying an insane amount of money compared to my paycheck. Number 4, make sure you're tracking every single dollar that goes in and out of your account, especially reoccurring payments. This is a simple budget template that I use. Feel free to comment budget template below and I'll send you over a downloadable PDF. But the point that I'm making here is that you need to be tracking everything in order to actually optimize it, right? The way that you optimize your fitness is by tracking how much weight you lift in the gym. The way that you optimize your diet is by tracking and seeing how many calories you're eating as well as the foods that you're eating. The same thing with your expenses. If you're spending a ton of money on useless things that you don't even need, I don't know, subscriptions that you subscribe to forever ago that charge you monthly, bi-monthly, or maybe once a year, all of these things add up. Even the $8 payments add up. And that's all money that you could be putting into your Robinhood account, into your Acorns account, into just a savings account that will allow you to actually stack that money and give you peace of mind. But the point that I'm making is that you need to track every single dollar, otherwise you won't be able to optimize anything. One of the biggest expenses that you can cut is your gym, if you have a gym in your building and it's a solid gym. You do not need multiple gym memberships. You do not need to be spending money on your Starbucks every day. It's not necessarily going to make you poor, but a little, you know, if you can cut costs here and there, believe me, it will add up. Now, I'm always in the boat of making more money, and I think that is way more important than actually cutting costs. But I will say that most Americans are very bad savers, meaning they just spend and spend and spend. And so if you're somebody that can really lock down his finances and understand the money that goes in and out of his account, then you'll be much better and more successful. Number 5, ditch the designer. I will never forget this one time when I first moved to Dallas, Texas. and it was Christmas time, and I was shopping in the mall, and I saw a line out the door from the Gucci store. Like, it was a massive, massive line. I don't know, maybe 20 people. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, well, here I am. I first started to make six figures at the time, 100K flat. And I was like, wow, this is really good. Like, I feel like a millionaire. I feel like $1 million. And I'm looking at these people, and they're all sorts of different people, right? And so I'm thinking, okay, well, what is the minimum wage in Texas? All right, so it's $7.50 or $7.25. I'm like, all right, well, most people do not make six figures. So I'm standing there thinking, okay, well, if in Texas the minimum wage is $7.25 and there's 20 people here, how many of these people are making six figures? Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at most. The rest of the people are literally just saving up every single dollar that they have in order to buy these high-end, luxury goods. And I walk into the store myself. So I stand in the line because I was just curious. And I walk up to the cheapest item that I see. It was a pair of slippers. And I asked the person, how much is this? And he goes, $13.50. So that was basically like my rent in Los Angeles. And that's where it hit me, that people would rather spend a shit ton of money that they don't have in order to impress people that do not give a shit about them. And so that's when it really hit me, like, wow, so many people are so bad with their money. And I'm not one of these people like a Ray Dalio or a Warren Buffett that, if you're worth millions and billions of dollars, that you should just wear a Target t-shirt. No, I like what I like. This hat's $30, this t-shirt's $30, but I'm not going to be spending, I don't know, $500-600 on a pair of shoes. Hell, I wouldn't even spend like $400 on a pair of shoes, So no matter how much money I'm making, I do think that there's a reasonable way to spend your money, and then a way that maybe it doesn't make sense. And if you're somebody that is looking at whether to buy $400 shoes or a $200 or $300 t-shirt, go put that money into some stocks. Go put that money back into your business, especially in the early years where you as a young man are really building your life and really building your business, and every dollar counts. Make sure that you're putting every single dollar to work. Look at every dollar as a soldier, right? You want your soldier working for you, meaning you invest in the stock market, put it towards real estate, even if it's sitting in your bank account temporarily so that you could have a cushion. That is not such a bad idea, in my opinion. There's many people that tell you, oh, you put your money in your savings, it's not going to grow. But for me, I don't really care about the growth. I care more about the peace of mind that I have, where I'm able to take out that money anytime. The point that I'm trying to make though here is, you can buy nice things. You can spend money on things that you genuinely enjoy. But spending money on, like, I don't know, a $500 t-shirt or a $1,000 t-shirt or $1,000 shoes, that is a stupid waste of money. At the end of the day, you could be putting that money into something that's actually going to be appreciating instead of depreciating. And once you have all your assets that are appreciating, like your real estate, your stocks, etc., that money will then pay for your lifestyle and all the shit that you want to buy. But don't use your earned income to flex on people that really don't give a shit about you. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that, my name is Gary Frater. If you're an agency owner or coach that's looking to scale his business, that's looking to acquire more clients, grow on social media, and ultimately make more money, well then click the link below to book a call with me. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next video.